Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Valley Public Forum video podcast. This podcast features issues of interest to the residents of the Mid-Ohio Valley area and hopefully beyond. The coronavirus pandemic has changed our lives quite a bit.
And that pandemic was the impetus for the Mid-Ohio Valley Public Forum. And so the pandemic is still going on. So we're still here doing our socially distanced interviews with people and issues that we hope will inform and engage people in the area.
With that, let's get our guest. Today, we're going to be talking with Tracy Stewart Nelson. She and her husband, Shannon, run the Nelson Animal Retreat in Work County, West Virginia. So Work County does not have a humane society. So Tracy and her husband feel that real need in their community for an animal organization.
Yes, they sure do. Tracy, tell us how and why you came to create the Nelson Animal Retreat.
Well, hello, ladies. It started in 2013. We adopted our first dog as a married couple, and we had her for about 8 months, and we decided we wanted to get her a friend. So we adopted Quincy May from the Roane County Animal Shelter, and so we went back there to see what they had, and they are the ones that told us about fostering animals, how fostering helps, the dog transition from one location to another, or maybe they're adopting family. So our first foster was Chrissy, and she went to Washington, D.C., and I cried like a baby, like I was giving up my own flesh and blood. And she just went on with her new people like I was nobody. And so it just kind of escalated from there. We fostered every single month, at least one dog. And then my husband's like, well, that's not enough. We need to do more. So then it went to 2 dogs. Then that wasn't enough. So we had to set up kennels outside so that we could house more animals. And so in 2019, I finally applied for our 501c3 because we had so many people that wanted to help and donate, and I wanted to make sure that we kept that all straight. And we've just, now we're helping hundreds of animals a year, not just 12.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes, it's overwhelming most of the time, but after you ladies contacted me and I actually started thinking about it, what I would say, it's amazing, really is amazing how many lives we've touched, and how many
the furry ones and the human ones, I'm sure.
Right.
Well, we've heard from lots of people and in the media recently that animal rescues and humane societies all over have felt the pandemic effects in different ways. How's it affected you guys?
Actually, in 2020, it was actually pretty amazing. I don't know if it was because people were home and they didn't have anything else to do but follow us and see what we were doing. But it was a blessing that we got the most help that we'd gotten ever since we've been doing this. How many animals we were able to help, how many we were able to get vetted, fixed, because that's a huge thing, get spay and neuter everybody. And so that was just a real blessing for us. We don't adopt a lot of dogs and cats, but we are feeling the return now. Some of other rescues you've spoken to probably are getting a lot of their animals back because mom and dad are going back to work and don't have time. It's just a really sad situation to me because they just want to be with you. If you follow my husband and I, we had to put one of our lifers to sleep this morning. She's been sick and we just didn't want her to suffer anymore. And she had the biggest following. Her name was Pearl. She was from Puerto Rico. And I just can't imagine, you know, I work 8 hours a day. My husband works 8 to 10 hours a day. And when we get home, they're all excited. They don't care that I've been gone, you know, they just want to be with you, even if it's standing at the kitchen sink under your feet, you know. So that makes me sad that people are doing, you know, giving up that love.
Yeah. Tracy, you all are not a humane society.
Correct.
And you're a nonprofit.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about how your organization works and like what area you cover, what services you provide, that kind of thing?
Okay, so we are not a county-run facility. It is just my husband and I. We don't have a board of directors. We have one little neighbor boy. He's in high school. He comes and helps my husband on the weekends. We try not to have a lot of people in and out just because I used to sell insurance, so I know how that all goes. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
So what area do you cover? You're in Worth
sorry.
County. Yeah.
Okay, so of course, Worth County. Then, you know, we've had people reach out to us from Wood County, Jackson, Roane. We help them a lot. And Lewis County, we've helped. I'm working with somebody in Mingo County right now. We've gotten them from Logan. We've gotten them from, my husband got a few from the Carolinas when they had a bad storm a few years ago. We got some from there. He's gotten about a half a dozen or so from Puerto Rico. So it's basically whoever reaches out to us and we have space. You know, we do honestly have to turn people away because you only have so much space, you know, and that is hard. But yeah, I mean, we help just about every area.
I've read where your husband has gone and crawled under houses and porches to get dogs and cats that, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 5 below zero, or not 5 below, but like 5 degrees outside the day he went. That was in Calhoun County. That I forgot about that because they don't have anything either. They don't have a humane society or a shelter of any kind. They have a small rescue that helps with like spay and neuter, but they don't have any place to house anything. So we help there when we can.
It sounds like they don't have animal control officer.
Right.
Either?
Right.
Okay.
And we don't either, not in Worth County. There's no dog warden, no humane officer, nothing like that.
Wow.
And but there's 5,700 people in Worth County. So, you know, they're spread few, and the police officers here are spread few and far between. And unfortunately, you know, the animals aren't at the top of the list unless it's drastic, you know.
I'd say that's probably a pretty common thing around the state with as many rural and, you know, widespread counties as we have. I grew up in the southern part of the state, so I know it's that way down there too.
Right. We get a lot of requests from like Logan, Mingo.
That's where I'm from. I'm from Logan County, yeah. So are there any other services that you provide or people that you work with or other opportunities that you'd like to let people know about?
Okay, so how we work, since we don't do a lot of adoptions, and I'm not saying we don't do any, but we kind of stick to friends and family type of thing. But what we do is we rescue the animals, the dogs or the cats or the puppies or the kittens or whatever. And then we reach out to other larger rescues in other states who have a huge audience, who have, applications of potential adopters waiting. I mean, they have waiting lists for animals in these northern states. So we work with Pennsylvania, we work with Washington, D.C., Ohio, and New York, and New Hampshire is the newest one. And it's just been a roller coaster. It's crazy how the northern states are just swooping up our animals. They need them because they have such strict laws in those states about spay and neuter that they just don't have the animals like we do. So it's just been really amazing that they are so anxious to help us. And I've got to see New York City the first time in my whole entire life because of it. So
do you all do the transporting to these other shelters?
We do.
Oh my. Oh,
usually my Saturdays are all booked up. I am usually taking dogs and cats somewhere. Of course, the New York trips are usually a whole weekend, because we have to take them late at night to be there early on Saturday morning, and then you're exhausted, so we stay over and then come home on Sunday. But it's just been amazing to see, because of Facebook and Instagram and all that, we can actually see where these animals go, who adopted them, and the wonderful families that are going to love them forever. It's just amazing to watch all that, and to know what they came from. We saw what they came from, and then to get to see them go to these fabulous places. I won't drop any names, but I personally, when my husband was the dog warden, which he is no longer the dog warden, I went and rescued a dog while he was at work, and a famous baseball player adopted him or her in Washington, D.C. So I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. What amazes me though is that the two of you work full time, and yet you still do all this and pretty much by yourself, except for the little neighbor boy.
Yes.
So what are your greatest needs right now? I'm sure you guys could use some help of some kind or other.
Well, like I said, of course I know we need volunteers, but it's so hard when you're a little bit of a control freak.
Jim and I know nothing about that.
I've been learning these things about myself. But and I missed one very important person when I was talking about who volunteers. My mother, she has retired, and if it wasn't for her, we probably couldn't do half of what we do, because she does a lot of vet runs for us. Because, I'm here during the day, my husband works afternoons, so we only see each other like an hour a day, my husband and I do. So on top of doing these three things, we don't communicate any other way but by our phone, so that's difficult sometimes. But yeah, my mom definitely is a lifesaver with all this.
I'm glad you remembered to mention her. You'd have gotten that later.
Yeah. Well, she'll probably get on to me for mentioning it. But she'll be happy I didn't say her name. But yeah, we always, need food donations, blankets, because we don't have an indoor facility like these big places. We do have a building that they have an indoor space to get into, but they also can get outside through their doggy doors, but everybody's separated to keep everybody safe. We're talking about running gas to that building this winter to keep it heated better, because we were just using propane tanks, which costs a blue fortune to do that. So monetary donations are always helpful, especially with the winter coming up. And vetting for the animals. And then, blankets, straw, food. My husband likes to give them canned food because it's just an extra treat to make sure they're getting what they need, just anything is appreciated. And I really do need to loosen the reins on the volunteer thing. It's just hard.
Do you have any certain animals that you have right now that have just really pulled on your heartstring? I know you said that you lost Sweet Pearl today, and I hate to hear that. I'm sure that there's always an animal that we connect with more so than others.
I mean, I've had a lot come across my path. I'll say that. Well, I guess we do have one that's kind of, I don't know if you looked at our Facebook page, but his name's Shorty, and he's a wiener pit is what we're calling him. He's a mix between a wiener dog and a pit bull. And he has a pit bull head, the wiener body. But someone rescued him. They found him wandering along the road, and they found him and brought him home. And he stayed there for a little while, and she reached out to us for help, and we got him a rescue, and it didn't work out. He was just, the city, I think, wasn't, and sometimes that happens, there's just animals that aren't made for certain situations. So he's back with us, and my husband's working with him, and it's just, there's always, I had one, her name was Sammy. She was just the cutest little thing. And I bawled, and this was several years after we started all this. And I bawled when we dropped her off, and I said, let's just go to DC and get her, I need her back. She can't go. But they finally found her a home. And she's doing fabulous now. So it is really hard to let them go, but it's really important that we let them go. They need to find a home so we can help the next one.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Tracy, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us today about the Nelson Animal Retreat and the work that you all do there. I have a rescued dog and cat, both. And I got them both on the same day. They walked in my door. They were strays off the street. And the dog, I got him enticed in the house with, what do they call those? Bacon strips. Okay. And then the cat followed him in. The door was open. So, but they bring so much happiness and joy to my husband and I, to our family. So I'm glad that what you do maybe will help other families experience the same kind of joy.
I hope so.
We have 2 dogs here. We have a 3-year-old Springer Pete and our Doodle Mix Berg. And I think if my family, my 2 daughters and my husband had their way, we'd have a Nelson Animal Retreat right here at our home, because they're always and forever trying to talk me into bringing another animal in.
Well, like I tell everybody, there's really, you've got room. One more does not take up that much space.
Well, I stay busy. The Berg and I go to, or we did before the pandemic, go to the hospital and do pet visitation. And so he's famous in his own right. And he's hopefully going to get there. He's pretty crazy, hyper. So Berg just has a perfect temperament and is really well behaved.
And he's the
Um,
dingle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's some sort of mix. When the people that got him originally thought he was one of those really special fancy dogs that don't shed, but he sheds. And they didn't want him, so we lucked out.
Aw.
So they definitely bring a lot of happiness around here. My kids are always laughing and playing with them. And I'm sure that, if anyone wants information on your animal rescue, or maybe they want to offer some sort of help, you can contact the Nelson Animal Retreats by email. That's Nelson Retreat, the number 18 at gmail.com. Or you can visit their social media or their website, nelsonanimalretreat.org. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you ladies for having me.